All right, hey, take a seat, come on in. Good morning. Welcome to the 41st CALLERLAB Convention in Reno, Nevada. Today is April the 14th, 2014, and this is the recruiting session. On your sheet it says Recruiting Veronica, and there is a reason. People have been puzzled about this Veronica, but that's because our panelist this morning is Lea Veronica and Jim Veronica. And Lea has a great story, which she may tell you a little bit more about later, but she has been the editor of a prominent square dance magazine in the California area for about 29 years now. It was really a big publication. Even when she took it on, was quite a task. And she's been a prominent dance leader and has helped clubs throughout our area and has also spoken in other states as well about recruiting and about the program she's going to talk about today. There are handouts, and we have handouts at the back of the hall. We will give them out as you leave, okay? And because there's a lot of information in there, and we don't want the papers ruffling and that kind of thing through the session. The other thing is, if you're going to speak, please speak on a microphone. We have two. One Lea will be using, one that I will have up here. I will try to come down as far as I can, which is just about halfway down there. So please come up to the microphone and speak or ask questions as we go along. So without further ado, how about a nice round of applause for Lea Veronica and her husband Jim from Simi Valley, California.
Thank you. Thank you for coming here this morning. I really appreciate it. First, I want to start off by saying this is what works for us. Nothing is written in stone, but it has worked for a long time. And somebody has to get the ball rolling in your club, whether it's you or somebody in your club that you say, that's the person that can do this job. Okay? So we're going to move right along here. As Mike said, Jim and I are editors of the Open Squares, and we started square dancing in 1979. It's a long time ago, right? We were the young people that square dancing is hoping to get today. And we have danced since then without a break. No time off, okay? How did we get started? Well, Jimmy was in college, going to night school, and then the last 2 years he went full-time, and we were living aboard our sailboat, which we did for 16 years. And so I had to keep myself entertained while he was at day college and night college. So I became very active in the yacht racing committee. When Jimmy graduated, he came in on the committee with me. Do you know that men actually draw blood over a $2 trophy? Okay? He didn't like it. So he said, I don't want to do this anymore. I said, fine, I will quit also if we do something else that evening. We will not stay home. He said, you pick it, we'll do it. I said, I want to square dance. Not a problem. We had friends who square danced, Alice and Carl Peterson, but they were an older couple, and Carl had since passed away at this time of me wanting to get into square dancing. So we had no way of finding out about square dancing. So I called Alice anyway, and I said, because I knew they danced in a club a distance away. She said, there's a club in Santa Monica. Here's a phone number. I called. It was the Red Ribbons in Santa Monica, and we started with them. We liked it so much that 6 months later, when the Swinging Saints started their class in January, we joined that one also. So we were now dancing twice a week for classes and loving every minute of it, okay? So, and with the Swinging Saints, we became presidents 3 times over the years, not all in a row, okay? And the last time that we were presidents, our goal was to be impeached. Why? Why? Because we wanted new people to come in and keep the ball rolling. That's what our goal was. We had a great time in the club. It was a large club, and it was a great time. Okay? Now, that's so that you will know who I am and a little bit about us. Now, I'm going to cover a few things today. I had a hard time picking out what I was going to wear today, and I wasted a lot of sleep time worrying about it. So myself said, but what are you the most comfortable in? What do you feel good in? And I said, a square dance dress. I make my clothes. I enjoy making them. I love my clothes. And so why not wear one? Okay? So what am I besides a woman? I am a walking, promoting billboard for our activity. And we have been closing down our billboards one at a time for several years. I have some statistics of our billboards. I know you want me to talk about recruiting, and I'm going to get there. But this is a big picture, okay? And I want you to see the total picture. When we bought the open squares in 1985, within 100 miles of our Topanga Canyon address, there were at least 25 square dance shops, buildings that were a billboard as people were walking by and saw the beautiful clothes in the window. And don't forget, other people who dance, other forms of dance, they wear the same shoes that we were wearing at the time, the little high heels, and other parts of the square dance attire they were using. So those were important billboards for us. And also what we're doing to our activity is we're having used clothing sales. So we don't have businesses that can stay in business because we are selling our clothes. Eventually, we're going to run out of clothes to sell. And then there won't be the attire that people know and recognize us by. And logos are good and important. Do you know where you're staying right now? At the Nugget, right? They're taking every opportunity to tell you. Every opportunity. We need opportunity to talk about and show our attire and our activity. Somebody wrote a book called What Were They Thinking? And it's about labels and advertising. Jell-O was one of the major companies that changed their logo, and business dropped. Why? Because it was, with the original logo, it was there on the shelf, and you knew what the Jell-O label looked like. So when they changed the label, the eye lost contact of the very easy thing to do. Did you know that Starbucks does not sell coffee? They don't. They sell prestige. If you can go in and buy the most expensive cup of coffee of any business, you must have money. You must be important. And if you go to Starbucks at any time during the day, the groups of people who are there are a different alike group. In the morning, you get the day traders on their computers. Yes, good, okay? Does Starbucks still, wait, don't put it down. Does Starbucks still have a phrase on the cup? They don't. Okay, Starbucks for a while, and because I contacted them about it, they had phrases on their cups that were conversation starters. And I called to find out, can you buy that advertising space? Because wouldn't that have been great if we could have had on a Starbucks coffee cup, square dancing is fun, call this number? And there we are. And they said no, they had a team that thought and worked on what those phrases were going to be, those conversation phrases. Now you tell, we're still on the attire, you tell McDonald's to take down their M. They're not going in that shopping center. They're not going in that town. You tell In-N-Out Burger, take down their sign. They won't do it. They won't be there. And that's why we have to have something that is distinctive to our activity. And whenever you wore square dance attire, didn't you feel comfortable in it? Didn't you feel good? Didn't you feel pretty? Right? You didn't? Okay. You're one. And it's okay. You know something? Right. But I will never, ever turn anyone away for not having square dance clothing on. Never. Because it is a personal choice. But there has to be enough of us to make this impression and to wear the clothing. Whenever, and I want to tell you a couple of stories. Our group in Simi Valley, the Boots and Slippers, they are in the Simi Valley Parade every year, and we wear square dance attire, and we follow the theme with our float of what's there. Afterwards, we would go to a hometown buffet for lunch. Now, one day when we were there, yes, we were in our square dance clothes, this young lady came up to me. She was in her late 20s, and her husband was with her. Big, tall guy. I was not intimidated by him. And she says, "Oh, I love your dress. I would just love to square dance." He said, "Why don't you?" And he looks at me, "Oh, yeah, right, lady." Okay? And I said, "Why don't you?" And he says, "Well, what night are your classes?" And I said, "Monday nights, we rent the Simi Senior Center, the great big hall. We rent it for our class." "Oh, well, I ride my motorcycle on Monday nights." And I said, "You know something? I guarantee you that in Simi Valley on Wednesday nights, the weather is better." He looked at me like, this lady is nuts, okay? So they went their way, we went ours, and we sat down and ate. And I saw where they were sitting. So as we finished, we had, all of us that were in the parade, had the business cards in our pockets for our beginner class coming up within a week or two. And I said to my friend Noreen, "I'm going over there and talk to them again. He doesn't scare me," okay? So we went over, and I sat down next to him. I actually scooted right next to him, okay? Sat down, and he looks at me, "Oh, God, this lady's nuts." Noreen is a teacher's aide. The girl, Denise, was a teacher. Didn't they have something in common? So she's talking with her. And I said to him, "How long have you guys been married?" And he said, "It was about a couple years, something like that." And I said, "Did you know that if you dance in a class, square dance class, you will hold hands with your wife more times in that class than you will all week? It's a very nice social activity. You know, I'm not going to pressure you, Neil. I'm not going to pressure you. But what's the harm in trying?" Well, Monday night, they showed up at class. Big guy, okay? Noreen and I could not keep ourselves under control. We both screamed, grabbed each other and screamed, "They're here, they're here," okay? I made a big mistake. Went over and I said, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "I'm here to make my wife happy." You know what I said? "Neil, what a man. You are a real man. You're terrific," okay? Neil and Denise stayed with us for class 1 year, Angel 1 year, and in the middle of the next year, they lost their home. Their entire life was changed. But they're going to be back someday because they had a good time. How did they get into square dancing? Square dance clothes. That was it, okay? That was one of the things. Also, oh, this is not a good one, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. Eric Hennerlau called at our club one evening, and he stayed with us. And so after the dance, we went out. A few of us went out for coffee, and I had to get up from the table. I don't know what for. It's unimportant. I had on my square dance dress, and I was walking to where I'm going, and this young couple stopped me. The girl stopped me and said, "I really like your dress. It's so beautiful." And I said, "Well, you know, this is a square dance dress. And we have classes that start in September, right after Labor Day. We rent the Senior Center. We're not Senior Center affiliated. And come on over and give it a try." And, of course, the guy again, you know. And they were in their 20s. I know they were. And we talked a little bit about school and everything. And then I said, "Are you two married or boyfriend, girlfriend?" And she says, "Boyfriend, girlfriend." I said, "Dump him." Okay, I'm not shy, okay? And she laughed and chuckled, and I said, "Okay, come on, give it a try. Come over to class, okay? September's coming. I don't know if they'll be there." But I put a bug in their ear. I went back to the table and sat down and jokingly told Eric and everybody what the conversation was, because people wanted to know, "What are you talking about, Leah?" So I told them, and I said, "I told her to dump him." And Eric says, "Boy, you are direct." And I says, "You know what? Boyfriend, girlfriend. If they get married, that's the rest of her life. He will not do what she wants to do." That's something to think about. But how many guys do you know who got into square dancing when their wives were begging, pleading, whatever, and once the guy gets there, he's the one that loves it. It now became his idea. Right? That's okay. No matter how you get them there, that's what counts. Okay. So let's get on to this. How did this all come about? Okay? Well, our club, like everybody else, in about 2001, 2000, something like that, we were beginning to feel the decline in class members. And I had this idea. Now, I said to one of our members, I'd like you to have a pool party. But I'm not telling everybody it is a recruiting party to talk about how we're going to get people into class in September. It's just going to be a pool party, okay? So we had wonderful attendance. People love a pool party. Well, after they got through swimming and having something to eat, I said, hey, you guys, we got class coming up in September. Let's go inside and talk about it and see what we're going to do to get people to come. Okay, so they all followed me into the house, and there had to be 40 of us there because we took up every seat in the house in this big area. Okay? And I said, here's a sheet for you to write names on and a pen, and it's called Who Do You Know? Now, that part is not my idea. I found that in American Square Dance magazine about that time. And everybody took a sheet, and they wrote down names of people that they would invite to Square Dance. And it didn't matter if they knew their name or not. If it was just somebody that they knew at the bank, they wrote down bank teller. And that started their commitment to contacting that person to come to class. Now, besides that, how many lines they filled out? They got this personal invitation to give them. And it says, please come to a special party. You are cordially invited to be our guests at a special fun party night, Monday, September 10th, 2001 at 7 o'clock. Dinner will be served, square dancing, casual attire. The address enclosed are your free door tickets. I will be there to greet you at the door. That invitation was either mailed to the person they were asking to come to class, or it was hand-delivered to them. And there's an RSVP on there so that the person who received this would have to contact somebody. Either if it was a person in the bank, of course, when you go there next time, you say, are you going to be coming on Monday? And we're looking forward to seeing you there. Okay? And the invitations were handed out, and we had a good attendance. Okay? And we started the ball rolling. Now, besides that, the class itself has to be fun. Am I going to be wrapping myself up here? No? Oh, sorry. I think this is my last one. Okay? All right. Besides the invitations going out, we were doing other forms of advertising. This was a big one for us. This is my phone number. 800 Fun for All, and I've had it since about 1995, something like that. It's kind of funny, isn't it? It's a great number. And I also have 888 Fun for All, and I use that number for my quilting magazine because that is for 3 different states, and people call me on that number. Now, as long as I advertise this number, people will call it, but we're not advertising it anymore. I'm not going to get there, okay? These signs were all over Simi Valley, about 250 of them. And we got people from the signs, and we put them up for probably 3, maybe 4 years. And I don't know if you're familiar with Simi Valley, but it's a small community. But other businesses began to over-sign the whole area. Everything. The spa guy, on every corner, he had 7 signs on this way, and you turn right and you got 7 more. And on the other 4 corners did the same thing. And so the city council said, no more signs for anybody. Everybody was hurt. So we had to eliminate doing the signs. You can put them on people's private property. People on our street, they already know that we dance. Everybody there knows we dance. So it's a waste to put it on my yard. So we try to put signs like that wherever. But we still put these signs in car windows. If the members will take these. Now we hand those out to them, and they can put them in their car windows, If they have a business and they want to put it in their business window, they can do that. We, as I say, we also did other forms of advertising. We advertised in the community newspaper. Community newspapers are the ones that are read the most. The mistake that we made was that we put too small of an ad in there, and it got lost with everybody else's. So we increased the size to this big ad. And by changing the ad, I also got to write what we are about. That so many of our people, we come from all walks of life, and we have, some have similar careers, have children, grandchildren, hobby interest, old car enthusiasts, quilters, woodworkers, a whole bunch of stuff. So they know that we're a whole bunch of stuff, not just people that square dance. Now, the other thing is, in the community newspaper, because we paid for this ad, we also got a free article. And that came out at a different time than the ad came. So that was a different, like maybe a week before or 2 weeks before. It was all a planned strategy. Now, does this take money? It's not free. Okay? How do you raise the money? Okay? 2 ways. We have what's called a pot of gold. And we started it approximately 4 years ago. 6, maybe 7 years ago. And what it is, when a person comes in the door at class only, not at a dance, class only, they can only buy 1 ticket per week per person, and you can't buy one for someone else. They have to be there. They got to put their number on the ticket. Costs $1. Goes into the pot of gold. And they have to be there at graduation to win. The big prize is $300. Now, right, a lot. And then we raised enough money every year to pay for the ad, the $300, and to give, the first year we gave away 2 more $100. The next year we gave away 4 $50. And we've been doing the $50 since, because we want more winners. The idea is to have winners. Okay, so the more winners you have, the better. Okay, so here we go with the advertising and the class, and then about the class and what keeps it going. When the people come and they sign up that night, we give them a registration card here, an information card. And I have a line on the bottom says other interests. And the girls and guys that are signing people in, they give me the cards as people are filling them in. And I'm looking at that. Oh, here's another lady that's a quilter. And I go and look for her. And I say, I'd like to introduce you to somebody. And I take her over and I introduce her to another quilter. Now they have something in common. Same thing with, we have a few motorcycle riders. And I know who they are, and I say, hey, you're with the right group. Come on, I want to introduce you to somebody. On the first night of class, we also have a buffet dinner, a free buffet dinner. We do not advertise it in the newspaper. If they call from the newspaper ad, we tell them about the dinner, and we take their name, and I will be there to greet you. If we advertised a free dinner, lots of people would come, okay? And get me back to that in a minute, okay? By serving that free dinner, the buffet dinner, we're breaking down that intimidation of people coming to strangers. If they just filled out the card, go in the room, the music goes on, now you hold hands with strangers, that's a little uncomfortable. A lot of things have changed in society today, and that's one of them. People want their space. And so by having the dinner and introducing people, getting to know people, and mixing, then it's breaking down that intimidation. Now, the following year that we did the recruiting party again, I only did it for 2 years because you can't fool people more than twice. Okay? I knew they weren't going to come to a pool party or any other party if they were going to have to take the who do I know and all that stuff, okay? So we did something else. The third year, and I hope I haven't missed anything there. Am I okay? Okay. On the third year, okay, we're backing up here. So what about the next year? How do we then get those people to bring people into our class? We had to get the invitations in their hand, okay? And if you just stand at the door and say, here, take some invitations and have your friends come in September. Here, take some invitations. They're not going to take them and they're not going to do anything with them. They're just making you happy by taking them and walking out. You don't know where they dispose of them later. I wasn't going to let them get away with it. Okay? So, in 2003, I came up with a new idea of how to get the invitations in their hand. I would give them a gift. Myself and two other ladies made these little, what do you want to call it, a hot pad, a cozy, whatever. Okay, because I'm a sewer and a quilter, this is fun for me. This is another way for me to enjoy my hobby. And that's something about people in your class, too, to find out what they like to do as a hobby or whatever that they can then do as a member of your club to become more involved in the club. So anyway, we made these up. I made 100. I make things in hundreds. Okay? I made these up. I then folded them with the invitation inside. Right there, they got 3. Okay? And an explanation of what this was. First of all, it's a thank you for being an angel. Thank you for belonging to this club. Thank you. Thank you. How many times could you hear thank you? Not enough. Every thank you helps, okay? So they got this. They got an explanation of it. They got the thank you. They got their little angel dangle. And these are for you to bring more people in September. That was the first year the gift started. It started the ball rolling pretty fast, okay? Our numbers began to increase. The following year, Jimmy, come here a minute, please. I did something even more. When I got home and counted the names of the angels that had been to class, 101 angels. And I named them the 101 Angel Team. That was the class of September 2004 to June 2005. If you don't think angels are important, you're wrong. The angels are the party. And if you keep them happy, they're going to come back year after year and circle left with the new people, and they're going to be recruiting year after year. And this is the package that they got. It was all wrapped up like this, and their invitations were in there. They were in there. I probably took them out to use them. But it's the shirt, it's their angel dangle, and the explanation of what the gift is for, what the invitations are for, and help us, okay? So that started the ball. What, Mike?
Can I interrupt you for just
Sure,
a second?
please.
First of all, there will be packets of all this information and these things that Lea is showing you to be given out as you leave. Okay, we have some in the back, we have some in the front, so we'll be giving those out as you leave. Second thing, I just want to kind of re-emphasize something that Lea said, that ability to walk around and find something else about your dancers and then introduce them to people who have those similar interests. That's social glue. That's the glue that holds your class together. That's the thing that ties your people together. It's a huge tool. The second thing is the gift. In Cialdini's book, The Power of Persuasion, that's huge. How many of you get solicited with gifts for places that want your donation, right? You feel like you should give something to them. You know, they send you cards or whatever. But that's huge also. So I think that was genius, Lea. Continue on.
Very good. Okay, now, Jimmy, you hide your ears at this point, okay? Go ahead. Thank you. Okay, now, yes, I know you're talking about money here. I know you're saying, what does it cost, okay? Yes, it costs money. But the money comes back to you, comes back to the club in the people who join the class, and the people who join the club. For me personally, this is what I enjoy doing. I enjoyed making this. I truly enjoyed doing it. I don't know what it cost me. It's unimportant. This here, okay, I'm going to jump ahead. Every year, I started with a theme for the class. This year, the theme was Winner's Cup. They were the winner of the Boots and Slippers team. Mike, many years ago, probably doesn't remember it, was calling a dance, and he was talking to the square, and he says, you guys, you're all part of the team out there. You got your little team of 8 people. And I said, yes, team, okay? And here I put, also known as team dancing. On 2 times when I used the cup here, I called them the winners, and then one year I called them first place. Everybody was first place, okay? These cups cost $1. $1. And they're made in the United States. And the second year I gave them out, I left the United States ticket in there. And people were so impressed that I got something made in the United States that different ones have said to me, when you go back to that store, would you buy me 6 more, 3 more, whatever? And I have for different people. Okay, they've loved them, okay? This one here, this is a baked potato bag, where you put a potato in them and then you put it in the microwave. Okay, I made that. And a candy dish, heart-shaped. I couldn't buy them all at once, so I went and got maybe 20 a week or something, and I called it my lunch money. And the theme that year was Sweetheart and Honey Bear. The honey bear is this little guy here of honey. Now, that cost us a whole lot more than the honey bear because I went on the internet looking for it. The company that makes it, their webpage was above a porn site, honey. Boy, did it crash. Well, I happened to be talking to somebody at the class, a member, somebody. I don't even remember who it was. And I was talking about I couldn't get a hold of this company, and I wanted to buy the stuff with using my resale number for advertising, and they didn't want to honor it, so I was going to have to pay the full price of $1 each. Big deal, okay? The next week in the mail came a $100 bill for your honey bear. See, an anonymous $100 bill. I have no idea who overheard my conversation, but I was talking about the computer going down, okay? So anyway, then class continues. The parties, we have parties. Yes, and every Monday night is a party at the class. Do people leave? Yes, some people leave. Some people stay the numbers longer and longer, and eventually you end up with graduation and how many people stay to graduate, and it fluctuates, but we get good members from them. And I have done some statistics. As a matter of fact, that's in the package that you're going to get. And it shows how many people came into that class and how many are still dancing. But if they are still dancing, what are they also doing in the club? Are they a board member? Have they been on this committee, that committee, whatever? Okay, we also had, I also did things like handing out flyers of different events coming up, and even since we have a first Saturday class level dance starting in November and ending in June with a benefit dance for the Guide Dogs of America, I would hand them out a flyer about that upcoming dance, and I enjoyed doing that stuff. All of this is printed on my home computer. Nothing was printed out. The only thing that ever was this big brochure here. You have one in your thing because this was done by a printer that came into square dancing, became a friend of mine, and she said, what can I do to help you? And I said, I got this brochure I'm working on to promote square dancing. Give it to me. She said, I'm only going to charge you for the paper. And I said, okay. So we did this, and I think I used over 5,000 since then, handing them out. And what this brochure is, what do these people have in common? Turn the other way, dear. We are all square dancers, and every picture here is doing something other than square dancing.
Hey, here's me flying my airplane. Oh, darn, I didn't know that was on there.
Why, I'll be darned. You still do that, huh? Yes. Yes, he does. Okay. So I would hand out these flyers, the flyers about the event, and it's a continuing thank you to them and to the angels. And when I did this stuff in my office, I called it my kindergarten day. Since I published the open squares, I have time to do that kind of stuff. If not, I tell the boss, hey, today's kindergarten day. Okay? And I would print up the flyers, the letters, whatever. And another thing that I always did was I always sent thank you letters in the mail, not email, in the mail on pretty paper to the angels. Always send it to them either the week after class started with all the numbers on it of how many people came and thanking them for bringing their food for the potluck dinner. Thank you, okay? Now, I want to back up to the pool party and the gifts and everything. On the second time that we had the pool party, I also had, I wanted to go over things with them about class. These things are important. There are a lot of things going on in the class that most people are not aware of. Me as class coordinator, and I was the coordinator for 8 years, me as the coordinator, I know just enough about everybody to keep the harmony going, if that's what it takes. Okay? I knew of hardship cases. I want to tell you of another one. Okay, in a moment, okay? I went to jump ahead and talk at that second gathering for the class. I wanted to talk about body language. I noticed that different people... Jimmy? You read my notes. Okay. Okay? That is, don't bother me. This is our group. You're new. Don't bother me. Okay? Don't do that. And I said to somebody, I said to them, if I see you doing that, I'm going to come over and I'm going to uncross your arms. Okay? Come here. Please. Okay, cross your arms. Okay. Hi, buddy. How you doing tonight? I'm glad to see you here. Okay? Glad to see you here. It's nobody knows but me and them what's going on. Okay? But think about it. Stop and think about it when people come to a class and there's people with a badge on who they belong to and they're standing in a group, all of them with their badge, and here's these new people. I don't want it to happen. I want you, everybody's got a badge. Go over and say, hi, I'm glad you're here tonight. You know, great. I hope we're going to square up together, okay? And please don't talk about Monday night football, okay? Real men, Tebow. Isn't that right? Okay. Okay, so, and then also, I said we don't wear square dance clothing to the class. On the first few weeks, if at all, at class. It's intimidating. Let it come naturally. Okay, eventually they will see the attire, they will want to wear the attire, it will come naturally, but it's not forced on anybody. And so, and the other thing we did, we also eliminated hugging on the first few weeks. That's also, go ahead.
I was just going to jump on that because you made that mention earlier. You know, our personal space here in square dancing is like, you know, we all hug each other. It just comes naturally. But think about what Lea was saying. I've actually lost almost half of my class because a fill-in caller came in and taught yellow rock and red rock and orange rock. And the second week of class, it's just way too much closure of their personal space. So I totally agree with this. I mean, we don't think anything about it. And those of us that have been involved a long time we hug everybody. That's right. You know, that can be a problem. So early on in your new dancers, with your new dancers, be real cautious about that.
Right. And, you know, after a while when you get to know people and, you know them, and then I know these, word gets around about different things. People, you don't have to mention names or anything. But there was a guy in one of the clubs that we attended that did not like to be hugged by anybody anytime. Not square dancing anytime. That was just something about him, and it's okay. Well, he happened to be my corner one night. And sure enough, the caller called, stack the wood with your corner, and I put my hand out, and I said, you don't ever have to hug me. And he said, thank you. That was our little connection just between the two of us that he felt very comfortable with me, that it was okay. It was okay. Okay, so we did that. And, okay, we did that. Okay, now then we're going to talk about the graduation and how important the graduation is. The graduation is your first step in recruiting for September. Not only are they getting a gift and the invitations, but you have to thank them personally for being there. The ceremony of graduation has to be about them. We, in our club, the association, used to come and do the ceremony with the candles. I don't know what you do in other areas, but the association has the candles in the four corners of the table and everything. Same person came, and it was, done every year. One year, I think it was my second year as class coordinator, one of the new people said, "Who are those people? I never saw them at class." And I said to myself, there needs to be a change here, a change to move us forward. So then I said to my committee, in the next graduation, we are not having the association do it. And I appreciate the association. We need them, believe me. But our club and our job of recruiting is our job. And that's what we need to do. They said to me, "You're going to get in trouble." And I said, "I can handle it. It'll be fine." Okay? So then I decided that with the graduation themes and it being most important, and I wanted to involve, as many people, many angels as possible. It's part of one of the R's of square dancing: recognition, reward and recognition. Okay? So, with that in mind, I started having themes which fell in line with what the gift was. In 2007, I started using assigned seating at the presentation ceremony. Right off the bat, somebody said, "You're going to get in trouble. They're not going to like it." And I said, "I can handle it," okay? And if somebody said something, I said, "When we start, you will understand why we're doing this," okay? So in 2007, the seating arrangements were described and presented by who brought to class, okay? So in the front row, right down the middle, was our caller and his wife. And I said, "Dick and Gail, would you please stand?" They stood up. "Dan, would you please stand?" Dan stood up. I said, "Dick and Gail brought Dan into our class." Yay for Dick and Gail, okay? Sit down, okay? I said, Dick and Gail, I said, "Hank and Karen, would you please stand?" Hank and Karen were brought in from the Corvette Club by Dick and Gail. So there we had 3 people brought in by 2, and the recognition, not only who brought them, but who they were. So now the club members had this connection and this thank you. And that's the way the whole front row went, and the second and the third. And when I got to the 4th row, they're sitting on the edge of their seat. Okay? And I said, I got a winner here. This is recognition. This is what they're waiting for. This is the thank you for all those. Circle left for the whole class, okay? And I love to circle left, so don't get it wrong, okay? Don't get me wrong, I'm sorry. In 2008, they were all seated on how long they had been in the club, and who they brought in was sitting with them. That year, I recognized Gordon and Joni for being the longest term active member and the most angel attendance over all those years. And I gave them a special gift. In 2009, they were seated in groups of how many weeks they attended as an angel and who they brought with them. In 2010, we recognized all singles. We had 56 single members in the club, 21 men and 35 women. Some of the singles have become significant or regular dance partners. In 2010, our current total membership was 192 paid members, 6 honorary members, 43 graduating class members. That was 13 couples and 17 singles. In 2011, we couldn't have the patio, so we arranged a sit-down dinner in the hall. I assigned class and angels to the different tables, again assigned, and during the ceremony, the head angel at the table introduced to the club the new people who were at their table. The gift that year was a bottle of different flavored cider from Trader Joe's and a little shot glass. Everybody got a bottle and the shot glass and the invitations and everything went with it. But on the table was a shot glass for each person and a bottle. And we all, at that table, took a drink of the cider and toasted our new members. Right? It's a party. It's not just square dancing. It's a party. This is something that keeps them coming. They've got to keep coming. Okay? Another thing we did is we made up pictures of the class people. And this I did as we felt that the majority had dropped out. These were the people that were going to be staying with us. So we did that. Oh, and I don't know how many of you attended the advertising on a shoestring budget yesterday. I remember they were talking about Facebook. This is my Facebook. This is it right here. This is in my hand. I did this 2 times, and it shows a picture of each of our members and their names and their address, as a matter of fact. And that was 1 year, one of the included in their gift was that. And it hasn't been done. This has been done in 2011, so this was the last one. And people are asking for it again. I want to back up to something. On a New Year's Eve, 2nd year ago, I can see 14, 13, 12, about 2 years ago, 3rd year, somewhere in there, I was sitting next to 2 single people, a single lady and a single guy, but they were not partners. And they were in the club for a while, and they were sitting there talking to each other about how long have you been in the club. And I overheard them because I'm sitting next to them. And I said, yeah? And they both said, don't you think it's time we took on a job? So I said, okay, yeah. We just had election. Didn't anybody ask you if you wanted to be on the board? No. I said, well, that's interesting. We're going to be presidents next year. I'm going to have a job for you. Okay? That job was, I took the one lady, the single lady, and 2 other couples, and I assigned to them our roster. And I divided it into thirds. And I said, and I highlighted, one was pink, one was yellow, one was green. And I said, okay, every month in our newsletter, we're going to put in 12 boxes of the members, okay? And so 12 boxes, whether it's a couple or a single, it's going to go into the newsletter. And that would be 3 on a page, so you had 4 pages. And the idea was to have one person doing the first part of that division of the alphabet, the second one doing the second, so that they were busy all at the same time. It wasn't that this person gets the job for 3 months, now this one gets it for the 3 months. It created so much excitement of, I don't know what the word is, but different ones, different of the people that came, who were working on it, came to me and said, I had the most wonderful conversation with so-and-so, you know, I don't remember names, okay, of that. I'd have to have it in front of me. You were interviewing them. Thank you, Jim. I'm losing it. They were interviewing them of how did they come to our club. Some of them came from this. Some of them came from the ad in the newspaper. And the majority came from a friend that brought them in. And the invitation, that was from the friend. So they interviewed them. And every month we had 4 more sheets in our newsletter that included the picture of the person and about them, a little bit about them. I have a friend, Dan McNally. He owns an automotive business. And he did not want to talk. And the lady that was doing it called me, and she said, I'm really disappointed that Dan doesn't want to give us any information. I said, okay, I'll write it up for you, because I know enough about him, and then I'm going to call him, and I'm going to tell him what I wrote. Okay, so I told her the whole stuff and everything, and I called him and said what I'm doing. And he said, oh, well, add to that this, and add to that, okay? And I said, fine, Dan. He says, I just don't want to promote myself, with my automotive business. I don't want people to think that that's what I'm doing. I said, are you kidding? All you have to do is walk in the front door and smile, and you got more customers from this group. And he did, because he's a great guy, So we got him in there, and it just took a little work, but it was wonderful, and people wanted it. It's another way of putting glue in the club, okay? We also have a lot of other activities and parties. We had Christmas parties at our house, and every Christmas party had a theme, and people loved to come to them. Sometimes we had 100 people. Jim and I pitched a tent. The first one was a tent at the side of the house that you went out the French doors, because people were sitting in the living room, dining room, and then out into the other tent, and then we had to expand to a 20 by 40 tent. And it was great. People come. Very few people don't come to the parties. It's part of that's what we promise in the activity. Isn't that what we tell them? It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of things to do. Go.
It's interesting. You talk about that. I had a conversation with a close friend a while back, and he says, people don't really have parties at their houses anymore. I mean, you probably, in your own personal experience from your friends, and, years ago we used to have parties, and some clubs still do this, and I know you guys do, and it's a terrific way, even after a dance or around a holiday, to provide something for your club members to do, and it really is neat. Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to emphasize too is notice we talk about recruit and retention an awful lot, but Lea has been talking almost all morning long about recognition and reward. When you make people feel good about themselves and feel appreciated for what they do, and just feel appreciated as not just a number, they're a member of the class, but for what they do in other outside places, and introduce people to each other. That's huge. That's huge. That's the glue that holds us together. That's what's unique about our activity, is that we can be so different and yet have this thing that kind of binds us together. It's really important.
Right. Because remember, for every person, single or couple, that you bring into square dancing, they have friends. And you talk about Facebook. They have friends. Everyone has friends. And those are the people that the new people start to recruit, because those are our newest, what I call loosely, the employees of the club. They're the ones that are going to bring in the new people. And you want to keep them happy. You want to offer them something that makes it worth their while to bring their friends into the activity. And the fun is part of it. Well, it's a good part of it. The class and all the stuff.
You guys do make the classes fun. I mean, and birthday recognition is big in the class. I mean, always somebody having a birthday, and that person is recognized. And you can talk a little bit more about that if you want to. But the classes are a party. Mm-hmm. People are having a good time.
Right. As I mentioned, we have a first Saturday class level dance, and our club dance is plus level on the fourth Saturday. And at the first class level dance in November, I started to have a pizza party for a couple or three reasons. Number one, the going out Saturday night dancing is new to them. They've been coming on Mondays to class after work. Now they have to get dressed and come to a party square dance. Well, maybe they don't have square dancing on Saturday night on their calendar. So we're giving them the opportunity to make it easier for them to come on Saturday by providing a pizza dinner. It's encouragement. All you have to do is just get over here, and we're going to have pizza and soda and dessert, and dinner's taken care of, okay? Well, for about 2 weeks before that first dance, I made up at least 20 feet from wall to wall, what is that, brown wrapping paper, and I made it, I don't know, that tall. And I put pizzas on it. I cut out colored pizzas out of magazines and restaurants and things, and I put on it, come to the pizza party on Saturday, whatever, November 1st or whatever it was. And I had them on rollers, like a scroll, I guess you'd call it. And I said to one of my committee people, I want you to stand at that end of the room and hold on to that rod, which is it's scotch taped on the end. And I want this couple, I want you to run across the front over here and unroll it, okay? It says pizza party. And the rest of the committee, I want you to be behind it so that if it begins to droop down, you pick it up and hold it up, okay? And we're going to run around the room, all the way around the room. There's not anybody here that's not going to know we're having a pizza party. Okay? And you go right around the squares. Just go right through it, okay? Coming to the pizza party. And with that kind of a group of people, didn't we look like fun? Right? Isn't that a reason to come on Saturday night and have pizza? And it was very successful. This year, we have a new coordinator, new ideas, no pizza party. Okay? We'll see how it goes. Okay. We'll see.
The other trick that you guys do, and you might be able to embellish this a little bit more, is when people are leaving the dance, somebody's at the door and they're handing out. Right. Talk about that. That's neat. That's also a way to promote the pizza party.
It is. It is. Yes. I would get little bags that are 3x4, something like that, and I would put maybe 2 mints in it. The ones wrapped in silver paper inside, and then I'd put a label, a 2x4 label on it. Thank you for dancing with the boots and slippers. Join us again, such and such, whether it's a first Saturday, a fourth Saturday, whatever, and hand them out as they're going out the door. And sometimes I'd put make something that was maybe a few mixed nuts. It doesn't have to be the whole jar. I mean, what's 2 mints? Okay, what is you get 120 mints for something like $14, I think, something like that. It's cheap advertising. It's cheap advertising. The flyer, yes, I believe in the flyers to hand them out for the dance. Yes, I believe in it. Do I believe in doing something that's going to end in the garbage all the time? No, it has to be something interesting, I think, okay, to look at. See this one over here? This was a Happy Valentine's Day. And it says, Happy Valentine's Day to a genuine champion. And at the bottom, we were not going to be dancing on President's Day because the senior center was closed. So we went to a restaurant and danced. And I think one time we had 87 people went to the restaurant and danced. And they were happy to have us. They even said, would you come back and have your class here? And I said, no, we can't do that. You have carpet on the floor for one thing, and I'm sure that eventually you'd get rid of us. No. No. So we will just come here once in a while. And we continued that for quite a while. And we also do a harbor cruise at Christmas time on one of the boats in Ventura Harbor. And we have, the boat only holds 110, and I try to cut it off at about 90 so that we have a little space between our hips. Okay? I have a little thingy I put in on this one. Friends who square dance together, party together, stay together. I think it says a lot. Square dancing is fun and friendship set to music. Square dancing is up to the middle and back with a hoop and a holler while holding hands with some of the nicest people in the world. Share the fun with your friends and acquaintances. Let's keep the party going. Have I said enough? Did I tell you enough? Thank you. Okay. Do we have questions?
Questions?
Yes.
Deborah, come on up.
Yep.
Hi, Deborah Carroll from Arlington, Texas. And I've known Lea ever since I first started calling, which is 32 years ago. I'm not that old. Okay, I'm sorry. She wasn't born yet, but I was calling. But I have followed this protocol this year, and this is why I'm up here to tell you guys what she's laid out for you here works. The first year, for the first time in 32 years, I am a club caller rather than the gypsy and the running and the traveling and all this sort of stuff. And I'm delighting in it, but it's a whole different bailiwick. So I went to someone who had a winning program, and I said, would you share that with me? Well, Lea will share anything that she has.
Except Jimmy.
Except Jimmy. And so this year, at Halloween, we were having a class, and I have a small club right now. Our main goal is we're building the club. Our class, we had 14 people. So at Halloween, we had everybody line up, and I had made little bags with candy and other little stuff. I went to the dollar store and, dug around, and their names were on the bags. And then I also made bags for the angels. Okay, so I passed out the class bags first, and it was really funny because one of the angels had just turned to the one next to her and said, "Well, what about us?" And then I started calling their names. Oh boy, and their ears pricked up because they're waiting to hear their name called. And also, if you have your classes and club things at a facility, don't forget to include the staff people that work at that desk. You can really make good friends, and they'll take better care of you in that regard. So as far as the theme went and the invitations and the tickets, where we have our class, we can't do a dinner. So we had an open house, cake and coffee. Have people come for that. And the invitation I printed, and I had got the envelopes, and the theme that I chose, because we're trying to grow the club, was growing our family tree. And I used an apple, because it was in the fall. And so the invitations had apples on them. Even the paper clips that I put the stuff together with were little apples. And I love doing this kind of stuff too. And the gift was that everybody got was a jar of homemade apple butter. John and I chopped apples for weeks, and I have a great recipe that you can cook apple butter in the crock pot. So I borrowed crock pots from the neighbors, so I had several going, and I just kept this. It was like a little assembly line. So now we have a new class started. We went from 1.5 squares of new people when we started the class in the fall. We just started in March using Lea's protocol for the invitations and the tickets and everything. We have 4 squares, and that's paid up front. So it works. It absolutely works. And the club, after struggling, is now excited because they see that they're getting positive results from doing this. So please, please listen to what she has to say and take her ideas home and put them to work. They will grow your club.
Thank you, Deborah. One of the things that I forgot to mention was fundraising. Yes, some of this stuff costs money, but we do fundraisers. And one of the things that Jim and I have done with Thank You, Deborah, is that we put on concerts, musical concerts at our house. And we can seat around 75 people in our living room, and, theater seating like this, and on the stair a little bit, And Deborah and John come. She's always had a calling date at that time in the area, and she will come and we'll put on a musical concert. And half of the money goes to the club for a fundraiser. Now, one year she did it because the club was celebrating their 50th anniversary, and we needed some extra money for the extra things we were going to do at that dance, and so that was the fundraiser that we did. I've also had card games at the house, and people pay a couple bucks, whatever, to come. And if they don't want to play cards, we have a movie. Jim and I have watched the movie. It's G-rated, and so some people are watching a movie and they pay $2, but they're socializing with their friends, with the club. They have something to talk about to the people that they're going to try and bring into square dancing. It's not just square dancing. It is a new, fun activity.
Thank you. Jeff Palmer from Colorado Springs. First of all, phenomenal. I wrote stuff down so fast smoke was coming off the paper. Yeah, great. The thing that we've done that seems to help quite a bit, in addition to you probably do it as well, is we started doing twice a week classes. And I know that sounds a bit intimidating at first, but once you start that, if you're able to do that, the people get cohesive a lot quicker, and your class is done in half the time, and they're not dragged out quite so long. That's what a complaint of a lot of people are, the classes are so long. The other thing is once a month we go out as a group, and that seems to really also help because sometimes, as you well know, people may quit dancing, but they become friends as they go out and get to know each other better, and they won't quit their friends. So that's worked very well for us. But thank you. Superb.
And you never know why a person quits square dancing.
Thank you, Mike. John Jones from Texas. The club that Deborah's now calling for, she only started calling for them almost a year ago, and they were in the red in everything that they were doing. And so they finally talked her into becoming their club caller. And they may not have existed very long, but now all at once, with the situation with Deborah being the caller and the excitement that she has put in it, all at once they're in the black and they're really happy about it. And so that is really good to do. Every one of those club members, when Deborah started this invitation thing, they all said, all the people we know already square dance. And she looked at them and said, you make new people now. And said, okay. No argument. And after they went through their first invitations, they came back and got more. And we had them at the dance and being available for them. I was going to tell you a story. Mike, when did we get Yellow Rock? It was at least 40 years ago, maybe 50. And it came out of California. Came out of the L.A. area. Mike may have started it. I don't know. But anyway, when it got to me, I thought, this is fantastic. What a great way for people to get to know each other. I would use it at party dances. It was a good way for, most of them knew their corners anyway because they were in a church or something of that nature. I went to Louisville, Kentucky to call a dance right after that. Probably had 60 squares of dancers on the floor. The first tip, I showed them how to do a Yellow Rock. The second tip, I said, Yellow Rock your corner. After that second tip, and I was getting ready to get off the stage for a round dance to be, and I looked, and I was young, quite young, compared to our age today. And I looked down, and there was a sweet little older lady standing at the edge of the stage. Her head was just barely above the stage. It was a tall stage. She said, sir, may I talk to you? And I said, sure, let me get down. And I got down. She's about this high. She looked up at me and she said, I like your calling. I like your voice. And I enjoy dancing to you. But you can take that Yellow Rock and stick it right up your ass. True story. I have never called another one since.
I wanted to back up on a couple of things. Singles in the club. A lot of people say to me, well, what do you do with the singles? You know what? They dance. We're happy to have them. Yes. There recently an issue has come up in our club about singles because we have so many singles, and it came from a single lady. Darn it. And I had to tell her, do you know you're single? Okay. She didn't know it. Okay. So I was annoyed that it was brought up at a board meeting about all the singles and everything, so I decided to get some statistics together. My statistics were how many singles came into the club, how many stayed with us, and how many are active, and what jobs did they take. We have a lot of active singles who work in the club. And what do we give them in return? Thank you. Come and dance with us. We are willing to have them dance with our husbands, one tip at a dance, and it all works out. We don't use singles rotation. We all know in our mind and our heart, there's so-and-so who's single, doesn't have a partner. Okay, go and dance with the person, whatever. So I reminded that person who said that, I said, you're on the class committee. You know you have 7 singles on the class committee? If we didn't have those singles, who's going to be on the class committee? They're the ones that stepped forward and volunteered. So, welcome them into the club. They're important people. Another thing about in the class, I never agreed or would separate couples, husband and wife, couples, boyfriend, girlfriend. I would not separate them. The reason is because they came together to do something together. They came as a couple. What right do we have to tell them, I'm better than you, so I'm going to dance with your husband, and he's better than your husband, so he's going to dance with your wife? Right away, that is not good. They must stick together. If they're having trouble, you put them in a square of 3 other angel couples. And if at all possible, select your angel couple. Make them feel good that you know they are a strong dancer and you need their help. Don't ever not say, I need your help, please. I appreciate this so much, okay? We had a little different attitude in the last couple of years, and a couple came in, and right away they were separated. And I just watched the game. And the guy, he was struggling, but his good-looking wife was having a great time dancing with another guy. And one night he walked out of the square and went out in the lobby, and I said, what's the matter? Are you okay? Can I get you a cup of tea or something to help you? And he says, would you do that for me? And I said, sure, I'm going to get you a cup of tea. You just wait a second. So I went and got him a cup of tea, and as I'm walking in, I'm looking in the hall. Yeah, she's having a great time. And that's wonderful. Don't get me wrong here. But they quit. What do you think their conversations were about on the way home? Okay? So I do not agree with it. I do not separate them. I put them into squares with strong angels. Right?
Very good. Yes. One more comment, and then we're going to close up the session because we got lunch.
Okay, and please don't leave.
I don't
Please
want to throw cold water on this beautiful presentation. This is terrific. But when I used to teach at Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii, I had a guy over there, and this is a little cold water that I'm getting ready to throw on it. We nicknamed him High Hands Huggin' Harry. And let me tell you, I spent a year teaching people how to square dance. That's a long time. And one night he ran 3 couples off just by doing something that he thought was kind of cute. Got to watch these kind of guys.
Right. We had a guy that was a little too friendly with the women, and it was the toughest job I ever did, but I got practice, so it's okay. And a woman came to me and said, if that guy touches me one more time, I'm going to deck him. And I says, well, what's he doing? She says, he's fresh. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to watch. And I watched. I couldn't see anything. Another woman came to me. I said, okay, girls, let's go outside. I'm not shy. Show me on my body what he is doing. He would come up to them here on a... Don't get fresh, okay? Okay. He would, on a turn through, he would go right up here. And, oops, my hand slipped. Okay? And I had to talk to him, and he didn't come back. And it's okay, we didn't miss him because the other people stayed.
There you go. There
Right.
you go.
Right.
There are ways to handle things like that and just be direct about it. I think that's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
Now there are handouts
Yes.
for everybody. We got some in the back. We've got some in here, and also you are invited to.
Yes,
to
and
talk.
we have some other stuff too. Jimmy, would you go to the back, please? Hurry
Okay.
up and get. Jimmy has some stuff he needs to hand out, and you're going to help.
All right. Very good.
Hurry up. Oh.
All right.
Okay. If you will take one from the basket, and there's some left, would you please pass the basket on, and then to behind you? Hurry up, Jimmy. What a good guy.
All right.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for coming to our session. How about a nice hand for Jim and Lea Veronica?
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a little bit more thought and care and your reward and recognition of your dancers. New dancers and angels as well makes a huge difference, you guys.